This is the Beesotted Pride of West London podcast, and we're coming to you after a visit up to the Midlands. So Nottingham Forest, Brentford were there. Got another draw. Forest 1, Brentford 1. And we're going to sit here in this joint today and we're going to go over that game because there's plenty of things to talk about in that match as well. Sunday afternoon, live on TV, so everybody saw it. I think it's probably could be labelled VAR weekend. I think it should be called VAR weekend because there's all sorts of VAR activity took place that weekend. My name's Billy Grant. I'm sitting here in the virtual joint with my chums in the place. We've got the man GP, the first time this season in the house. Gary Paul, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been a long time, as I said, to get everything set up. I've dusted off the old cobwebs and we're out again. And good to see you guys.
That's right. Good to see you too, GP. Also, we got Ali Mullalley in the place.
Hi. Sorry, I thought you were going to say something else then. I thought you were going to say, how are you? I'm very well, thank you, Bill.
I was explaining that you were in the place, and then you're going to say, yes, I am in the place.
I am in the place, wherever the place may be.
That's right, with my feet up in the air, as they say.
With my foot in the air.
That's right, which is all good. So
13th member of our on the injured list at the bottom is Mullalley.
Yeah, I'm in good company, aren't I?
That's right. Laney's in the house, isn't he?
Laney's back. Hello.
That's right. Hey, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm alright. Not bad.
Yeah. Just good weekend. Good footballing weekend.
I didn't go to. I had to miss Nottingham Forest. My old man's not very well at the moment, so I had to stay local. And I went to Ashford Town versus Chertsey Town. It was interesting. It was good, but I did obviously watch the game, and I have lots of opinions on it.
That's right. You've probably got more opinions than the people that actually saw it in the stadium because you've got all the replays.
That was one of my opinions. It was the people it's weird now that you see the game better when you're not there.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Coming back to it, I realised that when I was sitting there in America in these bars, I was thinking, God blimey, I can actually see who scored. I don't have to ask the person in front of me. So who shot that ball? Who scored the goal? Which happens every single week, which is all good. But listen, we've got loads on this podcast today, so we're going to sort of crack on. What we're going to talk about the Forest match. We're going to talk to the fans after the game, the Brentford fans and the Forest fans. The Forest fans were so funny. Listen, they've entered another era, okay? Because to beat us was possibly one of the biggest things for them ever. So we shall talk about them a little bit later. We've got JB, of course, with his facts and his funk as well. We got the Gowler from Bees Breakdown with some statistical lowdowns for the Bees as well. And we've also got Devin from Man United. He's from the United Hour. He's actually from Tampa, one of my American friends who I met out there as well. And he's going to give us the lowdown on Man United. I think that's it. I think that's plenty enough for this podcast anyway. But just first of all, like I said to you, this is the 999 hour, isn't it, Laney?
Yes. I hope you haven't dialed it because it's there might be some blue flashing lights outside your house soon of the ambulance variety rather than the police variety, which
yes,
well, I'm not saying
we won't go to.
Yes. Informer.
That's right. Yeah, no, definitely. So we're talking about it. We're getting there. We always say we're almost on our 1000th podcast. We've been saying, we're coming on to our 1000th podcast. All of a sudden we thought, bang, blimey, this 999th Beesotted podcast today. So this is a little bit of a sort of pre-anniversary, and we're thinking we're going to have our 1000th podcast party. I think maybe, I don't know, very soon. Actually, I think we need to get down the pub for the 1000th podcast party. Actually, I need to be quite honest with you. I don't think it's one that should be done in the virtual joint. I think that's not going to be on.
Mate, credit where credit's due. 999,000 editions of the podcast. That's a pretty good number, isn't it?
Yeah.
You need to find how many people have listened to every single one.
1,000.
How many people have listened to every single podcast?
one person per podcast. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. We'll find that person and we'll give him or her a cake, like you said, chocolate cake. So listen, we're going to let's have a little bit of fun on our 1000th podcast, whenever that will be. They say, being very cryptic here as well. But we'll make sure the 1000th podcast is a lot of fun. We'll have to sit down and plot things out. Like I said to you, next week is International Week, so maybe that might be a good time to drop a 1000th podcast, as they say. You said Laney is back. I mean, to be honest with you, no one really cares Laney is back, but people seem to care that Ivan is back. Ivan is back. Hello. Do you care about that, Laney?
Oh, cheers. No one cares that I'm back.
Friends like Bill, eh?
I'll ignore that. And
I was saying that in comparison to the Ivan Toney situation.
Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah. So, everyone is more interested in Ivan coming back. That is true. And he came back and he scored a goal, which all the other Premier League managers will be delighted about, because I'm sure the friendly was arranged for them to see the player that they're going to have a bum fight over in January. So I'm sure Arteta was there, and I'm sure the current Chelsea manager, whoever he is there, and I'm sure
Man United.
I'm sure the current.
Actually, they wouldn't have got the Man United manager there, because he's probably not going to be there for much longer. They thought, that's all right, mate.
Not after last night.
Oh no, the rules are they're not allowed to have anybody there when he plays, apart from club coaching staff. They're not allowed to have anybody there apart from club coaching staff. That's the rules when he plays.
You saw the joke.
So there's a special link. Leave your facts out of this, Ali.
Sorry. Annoying facts.
You can see that Mullalley's obviously been bored at home, sitting down there just reading up the rules of football, the full footballing Bible, as printed out by the FA, 795 pages.
Arteta was a ball boy yesterday. That's what happened. Yeah. But anyway, he came back. He scored a good goal. It was actually a really good pass as well. That led to
Frank, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Frank the Tank Onyeka, which I thought it can't be Frank, because he's actually made a
pass,
completed pass that's led to a goal. Anyway, so well done, Frank, and well done, Ivan. Hopefully that won't be the last goal that we see in a red and white striped shirt, but probably will be.
Right. That's right. And then what else is going? I mean, what else was good? I mean, like I said to you, this week, this is the final. It's funny because, like I said, the season comes in batches. We get the first batch of matches, quite exciting, and then we get the international break. Okay, we get time to chill out. A lot of players go away. Okay, then we come back. We only play few matches, so I think we played only probably about three matches probably since the last international break again. And then we've got international break next week. Couple of England games again. No Brentford players involved in England yet again, but we won't go into that. So I would like to think that we're going to go out into this international break with a bit of a bang, don't you think, Ali?
I would hope so. I mean, our record at Old Trafford hasn't been good, not just in terms of results, but in terms of performances we're putting up there. But hopefully that will change on Saturday.
That's right. Okay, so listen, we're going to talk about that all later in the show, but we're going to go away, we're going to come back, because we need to look back and to see and to talk about what happened at the weekend on Sunday when we went up to Nottingham Forest. Tried to get 3 points, possibly should have got 3 points, didn't quite get 3 points. Forest fans seemed delighted to get a draw. We'll talk about that straight after the break. Nottingham Forest 1, Brentford 1. And I have 3 letters for you. VAR. This was a VAR weekend. We had a weekend where, let's just forget about Sunday, because don't forget Saturday. Saturday's a day where all of a sudden it's like Brentford fans are thinking, what do we do today? Is it a bit of B&Q? Do we do some shopping? Do we go to the cinema? Do we take the kids out? What do we do on a Saturday? Because there's no football for us as far as we're concerned. But there was football for some other people as well, because there were some other teams who were kicking right off because the VAR machine didn't work right for them. Liverpool were really unhappy with the VAR. Jurgen Klopp wants games replayed because the VAR didn't work for him. So this has been discussed at length, as you've probably seen all over the news, all over the sports channels, everything like that. We've heard the referees, and we've got the audio from the referees, and now they completely fluffed it. They're like, oh no, the game started, it stopped. Oh no, the VAR is right, it's wrong, we've got it. So we kind of have got an understanding of of the madness that goes on in that VAR room, we thought, listen, they've got it all under control, but they've got no control whatsoever. So we probably looked at that and thought, poor old Liverpool, never mind, you lost yourself a few points there. And then Sunday comes. And we got it possibly even worse, because there's an argument to say that we should have won that game. And we didn't, because the VAR just did not sort us out. Wasn't clever, was it, GP?
No, not at all. Even on our goal, I thought, where are you drawing those lines? Because you could see where Norgard was.
He was offside.
Yeah, but the thing is, you couldn't see where the Forest defender were because he was being obscured. So, at a time like that, they've got to turn around and say, we can't overrule the referee because we have no point of reference to draw the line on. And at that point, it should have very quickly been a case of go with the on-field decision.
Yeah, I mean, again, having been at the match, and I haven't watched back Match of the Day, or I haven't watched anything back, actually. I'm probably going to watch it back after this podcast. So I'm actually sort of kind of relying on the views that we had at the game. And I remember, the incidents when they happened, that looked offside. That didn't look like a goal. It's like going to games quite a lot. You have these instinctive reactions. And when it does or doesn't happen, you think, okay, that's fair enough. Somebody must have actually looked at that somewhere and they must have got the decision right. The penalty, I called for the penalty at the time. They didn't give it. And you think, okay, that's fair enough. And it actually wasn't until I got back to the pub afterwards. You probably heard the Forest fans in the pub sort of kind of almost like joking away, because they were talking about the fact that they walked into the pub. They saw a replay of the game. They saw a replay of the penalty and they went, oh my God, that was a straight up penalty. But then, of course, they started to jibe me, trying to make out it wasn't a penalty, but they knew it was straight up, it was a penalty. Laney, you were watching it because obviously you weren't at the game itself, but you were watching it over and over again at the time. What were your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't think it was a massive foul actually in the instance, because Wiesa was so honest and got straight up and tried to follow the ball into the net. It wasn't until the second replay that I went, why is no one talking about that as a penalty? Because he was completely sort of, taken out. He was taken out. The fact he's so strong and gets up and bounces up, that's how fit he is. That's not because it wasn't a foul. And the more I looked at the incident, I just questioned why no one was really talking about it. And it was only afterwards, the handball incidents. I shouted handball at the time, and I can't believe that wasn't given as a penalty. And you get those two chances going your way, which are legitimate. The legitimate reviews that should have led to a decision of a penalty. So there's two there. We potentially win that game 3-1. And we'll talk about in a minute. What should we have conceded and the reasons and the potential mistakes that led to that. But we win 3-1. And you kind of forget about the conceding of the goal. It's kind of like, oh, we shouldn't have done that and what have you. But the magnitude of conceding against 10 men and having gone one up, it's all forgotten with, and it's all the noise in the background of where we're going and how many points we've got, and looking over our shoulders and all that kind of stuff, and all the negativity that goes on because you don't win a game. I think that's chucked out the window. So there's more to those decisions than the actual decisions themselves. And I was actually really angry after the game, because we should have been home and dry, and then we're deep into injury time, and we could have lost that game. They had a chance, Wood had a chance, and it could have gone really, really badly wrong. So the officials didn't do their job, and I'm just a bit hacked off as well that everyone's talking about Liverpool. I think ours are just as bad, to be honest. When it wasn't an actual goal that was scored, the ball didn't make it into the net, but the ramifications, the rules are the same for everyone. Rules are there for for the smaller clubs and the bigger clubs. So yeah, there's a lot that's not right, and we are rightfully hard done by, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, Ali, there's talk of scrapping VAT. I mean, there's
VAT?
VAT.
Yeah,
That'd be
that's
nice.
Right, that'd be wonderful, actually. VAR, the talk of scrapping the VAR. That's not only a bigger conversation, but there's lots of conversations going down, even in our group, over the weekend about VAR, how you get it right, how you get it wrong. The PGMOL afterwards were saying, basically they were saying, look, maybe it's better for us not to rush it and get it right. But in effect, that's kind of what they were saying. But but it seems that there's a general problem with VAR in the fact that maybe there are too many parameters as to what they're meant to be looking at, what they're not meant to be looking at. So it makes it much easier for them to get it wrong. And, it's like, for me, I'm thinking, it's almost like trying to make football a perfect game. We're going to get absolutely everything absolutely right. And that's kind of not what it's really about, because I just thought that, the offside rule was kind of initially meant to start off by basically stopping people from goal hanging. And it's kind of gone from that to kind of like, the fractional offside and the shoelace offside and everything like that. And it's almost like you start losing sight of exactly kind of like what playing the game is all about. Again, VAR, for me, I think that VAR, if it's used in the right way, could be actually very good. And it's helped us out on a number of occasions, including in this season. It's helped us out, quite a few times. But I think that if you get yourself down a bit of a rabbit hole and you literally kind of start to use it for every little thing and you're looking out for every little thing, it just starts to lose its way. And I think that's where the problem is. And I think they maybe need to reel it back and try to basically maybe have some sort of kind of areas as to kind of when and how it's used. And anything other than that, you just say, well, tough, that's just the way it goes. Like, we've got officials there, we've got enough eyes on the board, and we believe that's it. And if you've got it wrong, just move on.
I agree. I think the VAR, that horse is bolted. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's out there now. I think VAR's issue is, I agree, I think it should be used as we were told it was going to be used, which is for clear and obvious. Now, clear and obvious, to be fair, in the Liverpool Spurs game, that was a clear and obvious error that it should have corrected. And again, like you, I was at the game on Saturday, didn't really think anything about a penalty at the time, because I think we were all too busy watching to see if the ball was going to go into the net. But then having seen the replay, it's a clear penalty and probably a red card for the keeper as well, which again changes the complexion. So I think, clear and obvious, yeah. I don't believe the fractional offsides. If it's clearly offside, yes, you correct it, etc. If it's a clear red card, you correct it, and you have to come out it as well with, for all the faults of the officials, they do have a better understanding of what exactly the rules of the game are at the moment. I don't think anybody's particularly clear about all of them, but how they're supposed to interpret the rules of the game. So you could give them a bit of leeway on that, but I think they have to relook at how they're using it. They have to certainly look at their communication, having heard that they communicate the audio from the Liverpool Spurs game, which just sounds like absolute bloody chaos. And who's talking to who and what are they, it's just sort of like, you compare it to when you hear TMO on the rugby, which is calm. Why can I do this? Should I do this? Should I do that? Completely different world. A different game, yes, but I think there's lessons to be learnt there. But I also think it's a very dangerous game, and I've personally criticised both Klopp and Arteta, give me my 3 points back about this. I think it's quite a dangerous game. I think you have to be very careful to say, well, we would have won that game, but for VAR, which I know Laney isn't saying, but people have been saying, because you don't know how the game pans out if these decisions are given. VAR give these decisions. You just can't know. As we said after the Arsenal game, you can't know what would have happened for those last 20 minutes. So that's why you can't replay a game. You just can't replay a game.
So, I mean, I'm going to say to you, look, you say we can't replay the game, but, Klopp wants the game replayed.
Unlucky,
because there's lots of games you could say should have been replayed. Then our game shouldn't be replayed.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Yeah, but let's just go there.
There's a chance it might be.
Let's just go there.
Ridiculous as it sounds, there's every chance it could be.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm going to probably opt for us to replay the Forest game as well. So should we have the Forest game replayed?
Only second half down with them down to 10 men.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which I think that's
And
fair as
actually
well.
down to 9 men with a keeper sent off for the foul on the whistle.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'll vote for that.
And what other games would you like replayed? GP, have you got any games that you think that you'd like replayed? While we're at it, I mean, we're on a bit of a roll now, aren't we?
Yeah, well, there's a myriad of games that could be replayed.
Just one, please.
Just the one, mate.
It's just, well, I think what they should have done is restarted the Germany-England from the World Cup 22 when Lampard shot hit the underside, which was probably the catalyst for us getting VAR. Had with Sepp Blatter saying we don't need it.
Where were you?
And they're looking
Bill?
like
I was behind the goal actually. Where were you, Laney?
Next to you.
Did the ball hit you?
That's right. Yeah, the ball could have.
Are you sure you were behind the goal? Or?
We were actually, to be fair, we were actually to the
end.
side of the goal. We were on the other end beside the goal. We were in South Africa, in Bloemfontein, which isn't a particularly great place, it has to be said, but we shall move on from that anyway. But anyway, so you'll go for that one. So, which was, like I said, it was quite a pivotal moment, that as well, because England would have come back to 2-2. I think, if I remember rightly, in that match at half-time, then maybe we would have got absolutely spanked by the Germans and knocked out of the World Cup. Ali, have you got any games that you know? Because I mean,
do you know what? I was just thinking about this. I'm going to go for an England game as well. I would go for the 1998 World Cup quarter-final against Argentina. 1986 World Cup final against Argentina. Hand of God. Hand of God.
I thought we were a Brentford podcast.
I know, but you can't change.
Sorry, I've got a bit more Englandy.
Yeah, no, there's too many things. There's too many things. Well, if it had to be a Brentford one, oh God, I would probably say Villa away last season, so we could actually start the match at the beginning of the match rather than when they've scored 3 goals in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think for me, actually, I would actually replay the Anglo-Italian Cup final. No, not the Anglo-Italian Cup final. The Leyland DAF Cup final against Wigan. We lost, I think it was 3-1. Our first trip to Wembley. And I think that basically that first trip to Wembley, and I was almost in tears when we came out, because it was such a big thing. It was like the biggest thing of our lives for us to have got to Wembley that year. It was so much fun until we lost, but we didn't realise. I think that just kind of set us on a sort of kind of a trail, a catalogue of just losing and losing and losing. So if we at least play that again and maybe got a victory, it might have changed our destiny. But in saying that, Laney, you said you wouldn't change anything, didn't you?
Well, I don't think I would actually. I mean, we've had some horrible days and we've had some like really low moments, but for me, it makes like now feel like even better to be honest, and that's why I'm kind of like still happy with pretty much most things, and so yeah, even like I did think about like Trossard penalty, and I did think about the Fulham playoff final, and I think. All of those for a reason, you know what I mean? And even the pain of Yeovil, at Wembley as well. So, I'd love to have won those so I didn't feel so shit after the game. But actually, I think it makes like now feel better. What I would replay in like witnessing again, I go back to the playoff final that we won, beating Swansea, because I was so nervous, and like everyone in the stadium and everyone watching, didn't actually believe we were going to win and get promoted until the whistle blew. And now I know that we did do it. I'd like to enjoy that. Sit there with a big pint of beer and relax and enjoy the sunshine, because it was a stressy day, and ultimately we won, and it was a brilliant day, and it just didn't feel brilliant until we got back to the pub.
We could lose though. I mean, if we play the game always, couldn't we?
I want the same outcome.
Of course.
But do you not think?
You want different outcomes. You want different.
Do you not find it? Have you watched it back? Because even when I watch it back, I still think we might lose.
Yeah. Well, I have watched it back. Every now and again, on a random, like I sit down and have my lunch or whatever, and I put Sky on, and all of a sudden there's a random. They're showing it again on some channel, some Sky channel. So I'll sit and watch it, and so I have watched it, and the Roslev run, and the brilliant cross for what's his name?
Marcondes.
Sorry, Marcondes to smash it home for the second. It was just brilliant. So I have seen it.
Yeah, actually, just one last one. I'd just say that actually, for me, if I was to have a game replayed, and just from this season, because this season obviously makes it topical, I'd actually go for the Fulham game. I know we beat them 3-0, but I think if we replay the game again, we might beat them 6-0.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, no, that would be a good thing. Yeah. But you never know.
They get battered.
That's right.
Everywhere they go.
And I could actually be there for the game as well. That's
that's
very selfish, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, listen, I'll tell you something. We've been talking about VAR, but the fans have got lots to talk about after that Forest game. Let's go to hear what the fans had to say on the terraces and in the bars, the Brentford fans and the Forest fans, straight after the match.
I think we deserved the win, to be honest. The ref gave a few dodgy decisions, could have gone either way, and it was a close game, but I think we deserve at least a point, if not more. Devin.
To play the whole second half with a man extra, we didn't really create anything, and it just shows how much we miss Tony. Whether people like it or not, we miss him. So.
Given the red card halfway through, you would have expected a bit more. It's just the lack of a cutting edge up front.
Second half, though, we were absolutely superb. Came out a different team. Honestly, I'm really proud of that. I was taking the point before the game, and it could have been more, They had a player less for a lot of the game, but really happy with the performance.
When I came to the game, I would have been happy, but after our performance, especially with the man up, we should have taken 3. They were defending for their lives. They showed passion, but we weren't clinical enough. We had the chances, some loose passes here and there, but we should have won in the end.
It was just disappointing, to be honest. We were rooting, here stood up the whole game, and we just wanted to happen so bad. We were rooting the players, we were supporting them all, but it just didn't happen. It's like the story of the game.
It's disappointing, but there was another bit of me that did think that when they had those 3 kicks, that Chris Wood gets up and nods it down or nods it into the goal, and we lose it, which would have been an absolute disaster. An absolute disaster that would have been.
The first 20-25 minutes, they were definitely for Forest. After that, it was all us, the second half of the first half, and then the full second half, we had so many chances and we created well. We're poor in some of the crosses, but then, of course, the defence was very good, throwing themselves everywhere and kind of blocking our shots. But I think we dominated completely the second half, so we should be very pleased with the performance and to build on the next match.
Although we had moments where we showed some intent and some attack, I think we need to do that a bit more consistently throughout the game. I think possibly bringing on Mopé a little bit earlier might have helped, because I think we just needed that aggression and that attack.
Brentford started the second half pretty well, but to score straight from that free kick as well was it's a dagger through the heart, it was. So we responded really well actually to get back in the game.
Brentford's the sort of side that we want to kind of be like, because we're obviously a new Premier League side really. That's the sort of team we want to be like eventually, and then push onwards. But we have a lot of new players and we need to gel still, so we're still a work in progress. But for now, I would have absolutely taken a point.
So you're happy with that?
Happy, but I want to see the sending off again, and
you're happy with that?
See Brentford's goal again.
You're happy with that?
I've seen some photos and I'm not entirely sure.
You're happy with that? Come on.
Yeah, right now, okay.
We should have won that match. Just not enough quality at the top end of the pitch. I think it was quite a bad decision from Thomas to bring Jensen off, and I think he really would have helped in that last 20 minutes. But fair play to them, they clung on for dear life, and Chris had a big chance at the end there, and they had a few chances at the end, so I suppose we'll take a point, but it's sort of it's a case of what could have been really. We should have really won that, I feel.
So there you go, fans, after the Forest match. Forest fans, like I said to you, what I did is the Forest game again. I decided the trains were all over the place, so I decided to go by car. It was a bit of a decision because I wanted to have a bit of a day out. But what I did is I said to my wife, I said to her, I'm just going to pack my overnight bag just in case. But I'll be back and I'll see you a bit later. As I got into the bar afterwards, and we were on about third pint, it was like that kind of crossover, and it was like, shall you, shan't you? And then all of a sudden the Devils came out from the Forest fans, go, come on, Bill. And next minute the overnight bag had to come out of the car, and I found myself staying in the Ibis. And then the Lace Market with a Forest fan who also decided to do the same thing. So it's
the old tactical puncher.
It was an excellent night, had to be said. And as you could hear, the Forest fans, the hilarious thing about the Forest fans is that they seemed delighted at getting a point against Brentford. And I just sort of think how the mighty have fallen. Like, years ago, they were making fun of us and all this kind of stuff. And now they're sort of saying, for us this season, their barometer is to get to one place higher than Brentford. And that means that they've actually made it. So I think that's the one. I mean, Laney, I have to admit though, there was, one of my friends there as well, who was a bit upset with you. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I absolutely spat out my tea and it is a proper laugh. Last year you made my wife cry, and that was I just laughed so much. Then I remembered because I'd forgotten about it. So we got back to the Globe after the game.
After the Forest game at home, Brentford, when Forest came to us last season.
We just beaten them in sort of injury time, and they were spitting feathers, and we really rubbed their noses in it, and she actually started blubbing. And it's not often you've made someone cry on the podcast, but it was a moment worth reliving, and clearly they've not forgotten.
No, but again, good friends of mine. But I think the fact is that they were 1-0 up, and then we came back, and then Ivan Toney scored a late goal, and they thought that they were actually going to get relegated, but they really, really thought they were going to beat us at our place, and also they just couldn't get their head around the fact that we'd beaten them, and they couldn't get their head around the fact that they thought they were going to get relegated. So I think that all the emotions had come out at that time, including Laney's sort of lack of sympathy for their result. So it kind of hit her really badly. But they were back again this season, and they tried to give us a few jibes, but I wasn't taking any of it at all. Like I'm saying, it's like, I didn't mind getting the draw, but they were delighted to getting a good draw against us. But anyway, listen, coming back to just talking about that game, obviously, like I said to you, the fans, there's an argument to say that I would say threw it away, because we went 1-0 up. They got a goal with, and I know they laugh about us because, as you know, originally, if you remember, there used to be a stats guy, and who we used to call them the spreadsheet winker, and that's the reason why is that Nottingham Forest, when we were in the Championship, christened us spreadsheet wankers, basically, because we use the XG, and they used to laugh at us going, oh, you spreadsheet wankers, oh, this, that, the other. So we use it as a term of endearment now. Now, I'm going to use a spreadsheet winker term to say, actually, if you're going to listen to the Gowler later, and he's going to tell you the fact that, the high quality chances that we created were much greater than Forest, who had, I think, one chance on goal, and it was such a low XG as well. And to be fair, they took their chance and they got it. But other than that, they didn't create very much. So there's an argument to say that we threw that game away. Don't you think, Ellie?
Yes, actually, I do. I think the biggest issue for me was, and we've done this in other games where we've got ahead this season, and it's incredibly frustrating, and I don't know why we do it. We get 1-0 up, and then we just decide that we're going to sit in and try and defend that. We appear to try and sit in and defend a 1-0 lead, and it's not worked once this season. And we were playing against 10 men. We were 1-0 up against 10 men, and we just decided to sit back, let them have the ball, and let them get the cross in, and we can argue all day and all night about whether Flecken should have saved it, and to be honest, he probably should have saved it. But we're 11 against 10. We let them have the ball. We let them play the ball around for 5 minutes. We let them get a cross in pretty much and challenged. Guy gets a pretty much free header. Bang, goal. How does that happen when you're 11 versus 10? That for me, I'm really sorry. I don't like to be too critical, but that for me was really disappointing. It's almost like we don't believe enough in ourselves at the moment when we go 1-0 up. Okay, we're 1-0 up, we're just going to sit in and defend it. And it's just sort of like, why, when we've got a one-man advantage, are we not straight away go for the jugular and trying to finish it off? And I think if we had, maybe that goal doesn't happen and we win the game anyway, even if we end up only winning it 1-0. I just found it really frustrating that what we seem to do in that situation a lot this season, and especially against 10 men. It was just, I'm a bit frustrated about it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, JP, I'm going to ask you, do you think, I mean, what Ali's talking about there, do you think it might be due to a bit of a lack of leadership? I mean, I know that we've got our captains and we love our captains, but do you think that this season it's been a little bit fragmented, but it's just been, there's not really been that real focus? I mean, there's an argument to say that Pontus Jansson has left, and Pontus, if I remember rightly, when he first joined, everyone said you knew his presence. He was a massive leader, and he kind of made sure, so even though on the pitch sometimes he used to make mistakes and he might not be sort of kind of that 100% player, still maybe there's a lot of things that he used to give to the team that they're unseen, that you couldn't write down, that you just, that were not really tangible as such, but actually he added a lot more than you actually look at. And do you think that might be missing a little bit this season?
A bit. I think again, I think what's a bigger effect is the effect that the injuries are having on us. I don't think our outlet, especially for when we try and counter team, I don't think is quite as good. Because we're missing Henry. He's obviously good out because he will always run, break away with the ball down the flank. And also the big thing is losing Tony and Sharda has really hurt us. I think in the last couple of games, you definitely saw it against Everton, and at the beginning of the Forest game, we were giving the ball away a lot because we can knock it long, and we knew last season that Tony was going to be there battling it, and he was winning so many headers. Sharda's winning a lot of headers. Sharda can run, and that losing those two, I think we're just not as effective. Which means that there are times in games where we end up giving away a lot of possession. As Ali said, why are we giving possession to a team that have got, when we've got a numerical advantage? But again, back to your point, Bill, I really do think that Pontus is very hard to replace because he wasn't, as you said, he wasn't a leader. Wasn't only a leader on the pitch, but also off the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, just talk back to our leader as well. I mean, the man of the match, the Beesotted Global Man of the Match, done by the Tasmanian Bee out there in Australia as well, does a great job for us doing the Man of the Match polls every single week. Voted for number one was Norgard. So the captain, number one was Norgard, Man of the Match, followed by Hickey and then Aya as well. Again, it's interesting to see, you watching a game on the box. I mean, Christian Aya, so Hickey, he really impressed the Forest fans. They said, who's that kid who's playing, left back for you? He was really good, and I think, he's stepping up massively again. And also we were very nervous about him going over to the left hand side, but he seems to be doing the good job there as well. Interestingly, Aya actually got voted third man of the match as well, because I remember in the first half he kind of seemed to be sort of lumping the ball to sort of kind of back to the opposition, and we were all getting really confused as to kind of why he was doing that. His passing game wasn't 100% on, but maybe you saw something different on the TV. I mean, about Aya's performance. Laney.
Yeah, I didn't think he had a bad game. I don't think Brentford had a bad game. I get a really kind of a vibe of it's a really unforgiving kind of atmosphere amongst some of the fans at the moment, where we're a team in transition, right? So we've got incredible memories of last season. It was a fantastic season, and this year is not going to be last year by the look of it, by the vibe of it. Not at the moment. It seems like you can't use big excuses as excuses. People just don't want to hear them. So, it's almost like, you can't mention Ivan Toney too much, but you can't take 20 goals out of your team and it not have an effect. You can't take a player that is the best left back we've ever had at a football club out of your team and it not have an effect. You can't take David Raya out of your team and it not have an effect. And you can't take two penalties or at least one penalty away from that performance and it not have an effect. It's like people want to ignore all of that and just kind of just say, well, we should have done more. Well, we created the chances and they made the fouls or they handled the ball. They weren't given, so we don't get the decision. So we're picking holes in our team still. So in my head, we we didn't start the game well. I mean, let's be honest. Norgard, who got the man of the match, he kicked 2 balls straight out. He passed the ball straight out for goal kicks, and I'm thinking he's having a shocker. He did get better. I mean, he was okay. Hickey got a yellow card after 25 seconds or whatever it was. So he was on a tightrope for the rest of the game. Flecken, we will talk about in a minute. I mean, I still say, I mean, we said this pre-season in the States, Flecken it isn't David Raya, and that's that's his biggest fault, apart from some of his decision making. But yeah, there's more of a conversation about Flecken than there is, than there is some of the other deficiencies, I'll say. But yeah, I'm a bit kind of like a bit not shocked, but this clearly our team has weakened, and we did try in the transfer window, and we bid big money for players that didn't want to come because we're not in Europe. We'll have to go back, and we do have to have a big January transfer window. But we're doing all right, and I just don't buy into this kind of like doom mongery at the moment. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be have our eye on certain issues, but as I said, we've had 3 or 4 of our best players taken out of this team, and if you think we just operate as normal in the Premier League, I just think that's a bit harsh.
Ali.
With all due respect, Dave, that's not what I'm saying. I don't think we can operate the same way at all.
I wasn't talking about you.
No. I just think I'm just frustrated by, and I completely hear what you're saying. Yeah, Rico in particular has been a massive loss, and Tony obviously is a massive loss. Also, quite possibly that goal they scored, Tony wins the header, get it out. We forget how good he was for us defensively as well. But we were doing this sitting in when we got 1-0 up before Rico got injured, before Sharda got injured. It's been an issue, with the exception of the Fulham game. Every game when we've gone 1-0 up, for me, I'm just looking at it and going, well, why are we suddenly doing this? Why are we sitting off tees way much more than we need to? And it could be because we don't have that outlet ball to Tony. And I just want to...
It's not could, we just have.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's semantics.
We have no target man.
No, I agree. But then we have to find a way to play differently without that target man, which I think is a work in progress and is getting there. But I think to come back to Flecken, I think there's been a concerted campaign against Flecken, which certainly peaked on Sunday. And you can say he probably should have saved that. It is fairly reminiscent of in some ways, of the Ben Rama goal against Strahowska, when Strahowska just didn't seem to move for that. But 2 things here. You look at Onana, who's nearly a £50 million keeper at United. He's having similar problems because the defence that he's playing with, he's at a new club in a new league with a defence that is constantly changing because of injuries. And I think that, for a keeper in a new team, in a new league, is really difficult to deal with. And I think we just have to, I don't think, there's all this, we should change the keeper, Strahowska should play. We had all this with Alvaro a couple of seasons ago, didn't we? When Raya was injured, and it was just sort of like, we changed the keeper, didn't make things any better, probably made things worse. Now, Strahowska is a better keeper than Ozil, but I don't think bringing in another keeper who's not played with that defence that's constantly shifting, who's not played a game in a year, I think, a Premier League game in a year, is going to help at all. And I think we just have to be patient with Flecken. There's things that he does well. His distribution is good. And it's, he was never going to be David Raya. David Raya is probably one of the top 3 keepers in the Premier League at the moment. And it's not Flecken's fault that he's not Raya. And I think we just have to be patient and look at, the other issues around the defence, which is largely caused by it constantly changing and, mostly down to the injuries.
GP.
Yeah, I mean, I think start off, if he doesn't let that goal in, I think take that out. I thought he had a good game. I think he's had a couple of good games, and literally he's made one mistake. If you're keeping, you make one mistake, the ball ends up in the goal.
Yeah.
That's that's the nature of goalkeeping. And that is all people will ever remember. How many mistakes does Norgard make in that game? Exactly. Yeah, everybody was making mistakes in the amount of time. People, as you said, people knock the ball long to nobody in particular. You do that, it doesn't cost a goal. If you do every single mistake that a keeper makes is probably going to end up a goal. Yeah. But also, if you look at David Raya, he had his time he was in England for a long time before he came to us because he had his years so he knew about this league, we knew about him, and he knew about us. As you said, this is a brand new keeper coming across, and people need to understand that goalkeeping is a specialist. It's a very specialist position. It's not like a striker or a centre midfielder. It's a specialist position, and it's not really one that you can, as we found out 2 seasons ago, it's not one you can mess about with.
No, and talk about goalkeepers, specialist position, Ellery Balcombe, who's a keeper that's been with Brentford for about 742 years now, actually. We signed him like when he was just a wee baby, sort of in nursery, I believe it was. And he's just signed a new contract with Brentford, another 4-year contract, which I say congratulations to him. Amazing. He used to play with one of my mate's son as well at the academy. My mate's son's gone on to do various things. I think he's got a job now in life. He's given up football, but Ellery has he's crept on. And I remember he used to say to me at the time, he goes, Ellery, he used to go around and his parents used to sit in I think his family, his sister or his brother used to sit in the car doing their homework while he was playing football, and literally they were just dedicated to just taking him from A to B to A to B every single day because he really wanted it. And obviously he went when I went up to St George's Park that time, I met my mate Chris Powell up there, who gave us a nice little tour. And he told me that Ellery Balcombe was actually training with the England first team that day. He was like, you must be really proud. You've got a player for you at Brentford who's training with the England first team. That's just before a couple of matches. So again, there's big hopes for him. And then he got his injury, and I think that really set him back a little bit. But it's good to see that he's actually kind of brought himself back in and he's on his way back. And he's only 23 years old, so that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be anywhere near a Premier League first team because, goalkeepers, as you know, they kind of age. They're like a good wine, so sometimes it's not till the age of 27 or 28 before they get anywhere near the first team. But it's good to know that it seems that he's on a good tracking forward as well, Ellery Balcombe. So anyway, listen, we've talked a lot about that game. Tony's going to talk a little bit more about that game and about general things. We've got JB with his facts and his funk. JB likes to talk about corners. He likes to talk about nil-all draws. He wants to talk about all sorts of stuff with his facts and his funk.
Are you ready for this? I told you it was coming. Who? JB. And he's ready to sock it to you one time. Get it.
Hello, Jonathan Burchill here again. For the second away game running, we went in 0-0 at half-time. But this time, it transpired into our first draw on the road for exactly 6 months, since a 3-3 at Brighton. On that occasion, it was the last goal for our former club captain Pontus Jansson, while Sunday was the first for new skipper Christian Norgard. Sunday was our first 1-1 draw at Forest for 90 years. This season, we've taken 4 points from our 3 away games. Last season, we reached 4 points in our 7th away game, coincidentally also at Nottingham Forest. Having mentioned our solitary corner against Everton last week, at Forest we went to the other extreme and chalked up 11 corners, the most we've had away from the G-Tech in the Premier League. In fact, only beaten by the 12 we had against Spurs at home in the 0-0 draw in April 2022. In the last 10 seasons, having 11 or more corners in an away game has actually ended in defeat in 9 of the 10 previous games. The exception was a 1-0 win at Barnsley in November 2020. It was reported this week there are currently 112 Premier League players injured, an average of 5 to 6 per club. So our 6 injured would actually appear to be average at present, even though it is higher than the 4 to 5 injured per game we typically had over the last decade.
There you go, JB with his facts and his funk. And like I said, quite a lot of corners. Quite a lot of corners in that game as well, Remember the corners, before we even used to have all this, we're now in the XG world, and before that we had the shots for against, but people always used to use corners as an indication of how good you were as an attacking force. Remember, as JB says, we get loads of corners and we seem to lose every game anyway, so at least we didn't lose that one, which is all good. But anyway, JB's facts and funk, but we've also got some stats down the line. We've got the Gowler from the Bees breakdown. and he's going to be giving us a little bit of statistical information and some tactical information from this Forest game, and also he's going to look forward to the Manchester United match.
Hey, this is Jacob Gowler with Bees Breakdown, here to talk a little bit about the Nottingham Forest match and then get into a preview for the Manchester United match coming up on Saturday. So, Brentford created 1.66 XG and Forest only created 0.46 XG. Forest actually only had that one shot on target and it had a post-shot XG of 0.08, meaning that based on that shot's placement, it was expected to go in 8 out of 100 times. And so far this season, Flekken actually has the worst post-shot XG minus goals allowed in the Premier League at negative 3.3, which means that Flekken's let in 3 more goals than expected. On the other end, Mbeumo led the team with 4 key passes and 7 shot-creating actions. I think he was given a tough task because Ajer was staying in that much deeper role, really forming that 3 at the back at times, while Hickey was more of the inverted fullback that joined the midfield to create that numbers advantage. That tactic probably didn't work out as well as Thomas Frank would have liked, with Hickey only receiving 3 progressive passes. Alright, so now getting into that Manchester United preview. So they currently sit 10th in the Premier League. Their underlying numbers show that they're massively underperforming their XG. They have 7 goals on 11.2 XG, so they've scored about 4 fewer goals than expected. Their new keeper, Onana, has the 7th worst long passing percentage out of Premier League keepers at 41.2%, so it makes sense why they would only launch goal kicks 25% of the time. That may play into Brentford's high press, right? So obviously we've seen that give them trouble last season. Another area that they've struggled in is aerial duels. They have the 3rd worst win percentage at 42.9%. Although they do have the most loose ball recoveries, so even if the Bees are winning aerial duels, they'll have to win second balls. United aren't shy about getting into good areas. Expect lots of switches of play, along with trying to stretch out Brentford's low block by playing in wide areas. They've taken the 2nd most corner kicks, which is an area that the Bees have struggled to defend, giving up 2.29 XGA off corners so far this season. United play in that 4-2-3-1 with Casemiro orchestrating the build-up, while Bruno Fernandes is more of that creative playmaker. Fernandes has the 2nd most key passes and passes into the penalty area in the Premier League. They also have the most shot-creating actions from take-ons, which they're really just relying on Rashford to create because he's created 60% of those chances for them.
There you go, the Gowler from Bees Breakdown. Check him out, Bees Breakdown on Twitter and all sorts of social media. And also you'll get his article on Beesotted.com as well. Every week he writes a great article where he breaks down the tactics and the statistics of the match at the weekend, and he's got a great one on the Forest game. So definitely go to the Beesotted website, and it's really, really interesting because he like I said, he breaks down both sides, and just to see how we deal with that game, minute by minute almost. Well, not minute by minute, but blow by blow, as they say. But anyway, listen, we're going to look forward to the Manchester United match. We've got Man United coming on Saturday, and I'd like to say that there's a lot of people licking their lips at the moment. They're actually thinking, hold on a second, Man United, they don't seem to be doing very well. Is this going to be the opportunity for Brentford to go to Old Trafford and get ourselves 3 points? So there's a few people trekking themselves up to Manchester on Saturday to go and see if they can check that out. Manchester seem to be in a little bit of a pickle, but we need to find out exactly what's going down in Manchester. Let's go across to Devin from the United Hour. He's the US Manchester United Supporters Club guy, and I met him in Tampa a couple of months ago as well, or St. Petersburg. He came down to go and watch the Fulham game with me, that I'm going to hopefully get replayed so we can actually beat them 7-0 by the end of the month. But anyway, Devin from the United Hour, he's going to give us the lowdown on United.
Hi everybody, my name is Devin Walker and I am from the United Hour YouTube channel, and I also feature on the Soccer As We Like It and the Magnificent 24/7 Reds channels as well. I've known Billy now since the Euro 2021 final. We met over at Wembley Stadium and Billy showed me a great time. Since then we've actually met twice over the UK, and not too long ago we met over in Florida to meet up, and it was great to see him again for a little while. If I had to sum up Manchester United's season last season, I thought it was the perfect start for Erik ten Hag. Beginning of the season, I had said top 4 and a trophy would have been a very successful first season to start off with. Managed to finish third and lift the Carabao Cup. That was amazing. I was actually able to fly over to get there for the Carabao Cup and see it lifted in person. So that was definitely a great experience as well too. If we fast forward now into this season, it feels like United's form has honestly just fallen off a cliff. Every single thing that can go wrong can be going wrong right now. It could be between injuries. It could be multiple off-the-field issues. You have the Anthony situation. You have the Jadon Sancho situation. You have the Mason Greenwood situation. It is just absolutely going horrible right now. Where can I even start? We could even go from the most recent match versus Galatasaray, where I think it pretty much just summed up the issues that are going on with United. They take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. In this case, 2 goals forward and 3 goals back. It seems to be a repetitive effort right now. Losing 6 out of the first 10 on the jump right now is definitely not good at all right now. I can tell you, probably whenever teams look at the calendar, they're praying that they can face them now in this form right now. Old Trafford is supposed to be a fortress, and the team is leaking goals as much as the roof is leaking water right now, to be very honest. It's if I had to rank this start right now, the start of the season, out of a 10, I have to probably give it a 3 right now, and that's only because we are barely in the top 10 of the season right now. Ten Hag just looks like a man very short of confidence and options this year. He's not speaking the same way as he was last season. His demeanor is completely off. He just looks like a man that's in his just completely inside of his own shell right now, does not know what's going on. It looks like he's losing the plot. He's not playing the same style as he did last season. It seems we're just going back to what United is doing, basically with the 2 holding midfielders and playing counter-attacking football. It is not at all good right now. Ten Hag, right now I am not happy with the recent performances, but I understand he still needs time. He still needs to be back properly, but he definitely needs to focus more on playing his style of football and not catering to the players. If the players cannot fit it, you drop them, play some of the youth. In my opinion, find players who are willing to give it all for the badge too. Am I comfortable with the United squad this season? I have to say, no, not at all. Our injuries and issues have really hampered what was supposed to be building on from an incredible start for Ten Hag last season. I have to say probably the player that I am most disappointed in so far is Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford had an absolutely incredible season last year, over 30 goal contributions, and he looks like an absolute shadow of himself going into this season. I am really hoping that it's not I call it big contract syndrome, where you play for the contract and then you just down tools. Marcus Rashford does not seem that type of player to me, but he just looks a player that is absolutely short of confidence right now. I think a good amount of time with him being out the squad for a while is very much what is needed in order to get his form back. For a while we were saying that he wasn't lifting his head up, he was just constantly dribbling into players and looking for players in better positions. Yesterday he goes and gets a very glorious assist for Rasmus Højlund. And then you go fast forward a little bit further into the match where he had easy score off for Bruno Fernandes and just gave a very tame pass for the Galatasaray keeper. I really don't know what's happening there, but it's something that needs to change. Rasmus Højlund right now definitely looks a very good prospect. Only 20 years of age. His composure in front of goal looks very incredible. And once he starts getting proper service, I am so excited to see what is to come with him. Moving into our next match now against the Bees. United last season, night and day difference. What can we say? You go back to that first match of the season, I was so confident we're going into Brentford Stadium, I believe it's the G-Tech, and we go out there and we just get absolutely embarrassed 4-0. Brentford could do whatever they wanted to do, and it looked like the writing was on the wall early for Ten Hag after that. You come now to the next match of the season, and United squeak out a 1-0 victory and manage to split the points. I can tell you right now that if I'm a Brentford player or anybody Brentford fan right now, I am going into this match with excitement. I can tell you this as a United fan, I think we just want to make it to the international break at this point. We're going to expect a response from these players, but the players right now, there's something going on mentality-wise where To be very honest, Brentford could very much easily get a result with the way things are looking right now. We have a keeper who was brought in to be very good with distribution, but gave away, basically cost us a red card. Casemiro getting sent off because he outplayed a pass, and Casemiro was the last man, had to take him down. And I would say right now that even when I thought that Brentford right now would not be doing too well with the loss of Ivan Toney, Brian Mbeumo stepped up big time for them, has been coming through with quite a few goal contributions right now, and I will say always that he is the player that I am most worried about, because seeing him run at United's depleted makeshift defense right now is actually worrying me. Onana is going to have his hands full with any shots that are going at him right now. It's going to be it's not going to be pretty for United at this point, I have to say so. How will the game pan out? United's like a Jekyll and Hyde. You never know which version of them is going to show up. And if I'm basing it off current form right now and just seeing the way it's looking, I actually very much could see Brentford coming away with a draw in this match. I'm not confident right now in United getting 3 points. We are way too leaky. We have too many injuries, especially in the back. So even if we do score, Brentford has enough capability to score in this match as well, even with injuries to Henry as well too. It's going to be a fun match for Brentford fans to watch, I think, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare for United fans to watch. I definitely want to say thank you so much for having me on, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
There you go, Devin, with the United Hour. He's always sees the bright side of things, Devin. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Manchester United, should be up there. They're not quite up there, but you just never know. Man United at the weekend, Ali. This one could be an interesting one. I know that you're not as optimistic as other people are about this match. Other people are saying, yes, this could be the one to turn it around. It could be our second 3-point of the season. But you're actually thinking Ten Hag, he's got his cases packed, and he's just about to he's just about to put the last things in the case, and you reckon that he might be actually taking them out of the case and emptying it after the weekend's game, don't you think?
I hope not. We do rather have this pattern of sort of like when teams are on streaks of they've not scored or they've not won or whatever, that they seem to come and play us and we seem to break that streak for them. So I have joked about it's nicely set up for us to save Ten Hag's job on Saturday. That said, having watched their game last night in the Champions League against Galatasaray, they can't defend to save their lives. They go 1-0 up and they go a goal up, and then they just basically had a goal back to the opposition every time. Their defence, admittedly they've got a lot of injuries. Obviously feel desperately for them with their massive squad. But yeah, their defensively, they're looking a bit of a shambles at the moment. They're still good going forward at times. Rashford, who's been out of form, did actually play rather well last night. We are going to have to keep Højlund quiet. He's a right handful. He's a really, really good centre forward. He looks really good. To be honest, but it could go either way. I felt the 2 times we've gone to Old Trafford, we've so far we've been a bit overawed by it. Whereas, going to the Etihad last season, we weren't. Old Trafford does seem to sort of like make us retreat into ourselves a bit, and we haven't really put in a performance there yet. So hopefully we can break that streak. I think it could go either way. I think there's possibly a lot of goals in that game. From the point of view, you've got two sides who are going to create a lot of chances, but also two sides who have looked a little bit suspect defensively recently. So, you predicted 5-5 for the Forest game. This could easily be 5-5 as well.
Yeah, I was missing 8 goals there. A little bit of a miscalculation on that one, but at least I've got the draw. GP, Man United, are you feeling? Can you smell a win? Come on, tell me.
I don't know. It's one of those. The last 2 years that we've been there, United haven't been in good form, and as Ali said, we haven't really turned up. But we know that they are a quality team on their day, but at the moment they're in a mire, as Ali said. They can't defend at all. Onana's having a terrible, and it's not the first time that you've seen very good players at the top of their game signing for Man United and then just turning into complete rubbish. Again, I think there's an issue with that club, which isn't our concern. Our concern is getting 3 points on Saturday. We've really got. I think we do have to attack them because, as you said, Højlund, he looks like he's really settled down and is now starting to find the net, as we saw last night. But if you look at the way that Zaha scored that goal last night, and it'd been funny, Ivan would have an absolute field day against them.
I wonder what it is about. I wonder what it is about signing a 5-year contract at £1 million a week. Stops people getting hungry.
It's nothing to do with that. It's just that the thing is, that club's got a rotten core, and it doesn't matter what you do with players and managers until that's sorted out. Then
it bleeds down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just bleeds down, and you know what they say about leadership, and you do look up to leadership. Just look at the leadership of that, and Brentford are just miles apart, absolute miles apart.
It's Laney. I mean, Man United. What you say? I mean, I actually can't call this one because on paper you would think, okay, we've got our balls, but then we keep going back to the Arsenal. We go at the Arsenal game. We think, look, we're really good in that second half. That Forest game, to be quite honest with you, if we hadn't let that goal in, then maybe we would have gone on. So there's all these things that may or may not have happened. So you actually don't really know with Man United. They're not great. So you could get a result, but it's really one of those ones which is a bit up in the air, isn't it?
If you can pick your best Brentford team and then Man United playing like they're playing at the moment, and then there's every reason to be really kind of like confident. I just don't know what we are. I just get it. Cobbled together is probably not quite the right description of how we are at the moment, but we're not far off it. So we're a very weakened Brentford team playing a very poor Man United team, and there was a bit of a kind of like meltdown after the game at Man United last year, saying we didn't try, we didn't go there to win. It's difficult going to Man United. It's a fortress is a cliche, but it really is. There's not many teams go there and win. So it does affect how you set the game up, and we went there last year not to get a good hiding, and we didn't, and we could have equalised, we should have equalised, we could have come away with a point, which would have been great, but the fact that we lose and don't create a lot, if we go there and do ourselves justice, we could get at least a point, and it's just that we are in a state of flux at the moment, so I'm not quite sure what we get, but if Mbeumo is on song, and if Maupay or Wissa, they're clinical, then we can score one, maybe two, and we have to be watertight at the back, because there's always a situation, one per game, that seems to lead to a goal. If we eradicate that, then we have every chance. We can't be playing them at a better time, let's be honest, but we're just weak, so we'll see what happens.
I'm going to come to you, Ali, in a minute, but just talking about Mbeumo. Mbeumo has actually been recorded as the third fastest Premier League player so far this season. I'm going to ask you the question, who is the fastest Premier League player this season? Question. Anyone?
Gordon?
No. Garrett, GP?
Ain't got a Scooby.
Chidozie Ogbene, ex-Brentford player for Luton. He's actually the fastest Premier League player. Shit off a shovel, as they say.
But did he have the ball?
Yeah, that's right.
No, don't just don't
Yeah.
get
Rico
bust
must be up there, surely. Rico must be.
No, well, I don't know. Rico hasn't been recorded. He wasn't recorded, in the facts that I saw, and it's actually recorded by the Premier League as well. So there you go. So a little bit of info. I think you could probably see where Brentford were thinking when we bought Benny that time. And I said to you, it was a while ago when me and Laney went over to Dundalk to go and watch the B team on a Wednesday night, and we just literally signed him. And we were chatting to them about, well, we got this old Benny guy from some club over somewhere, some tiny club somewhere, and they were like, okay. So Brentford's thinking was that they could take this player, not buy him for not very much money, get him because he's very fast, and get him to play football. And it obviously didn't quite work out for us, but now he's playing Premier League football, so I think you could see where the vision is yet again. But anyway, Ali,
I've completely forgotten what I was going to say now because you went off on a tangent.
you were so stunned.
Oh no, I know.
I know what
I was going to say. Let's face it. If man for man, if United's star players all turn up on Saturday, we're not winning that game. Are we? I mean, if they all turn up, we won't win. So, however good we are, we could be brilliant. And if Rashford, Casemiro, Højlund, everybody, Fernandes all turned up, all managed to play the team, we're not winning that game. But they don't look like a team at the moment. And for all our struggles is the wrong word, but for all the maybe difficulties we're having at the moment, we still look like a team. And I think that's where we could get a result from the game.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to hold you to this now. So we could get a result from the game. What kind of result are we going to get, Ali Mullalley?
I think there's going to be goals in it, so it's probably going to end up 0-0. I think it's 2-2.
2-2. Desmond, and for GP?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going to come up a little bit short on this one. I can just see in a big stadium like that against a team like that, I can just see them nicking it. And now, when we get those periods where we're incapable of holding the ball and keeping possession, I just think that might be our undoing.
Score prediction?
I would go 1-0.
1-0 to
United.
Laney.
I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just, we went to St James's Park, and we narrowly lost, and we should have got something out of that. It's they're beating PSG 2-0 at the moment, so we've done all right. We've done all right. We've lost a game against Everton, which is the one that's kind of set the cap.
Yeah, that's the only egregious bad result.
So I think we don't look at the stadiums anymore and get overawed by it. We didn't get overawed at Old Trafford last year. I think you're right, Ali. If they're great players, play great, then we lose. And if all the VAR decisions go their way, then we lose. I just think, we're due a positive result there after two negative ones. I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
Okay, and me, I'm going to go for a 2-1 wheel to the mighty Bees. So I'm going to say to all the Bees fans that are going up to Manchester, have a safe journey up there. Trains or cars be possible. I mean, we talked about Monty, who named his car Rico, driving to Senegal as you do. A couple of weeks ago. I haven't heard from Monty actually. I better drop him a line because you just don't know what's going on there. But and a B fan, I was in the pub before the Nottingham game, and they came up to us and said, I was driving the car, and Mum and Dad were listening to the podcast, and we've actually named our car after a Brentford player. We've named our car B. So there you go. So there are lots of people that name their cars and their cats and everything like that after Brentford players and items and things. So there you go. But anyway, my name's Billy Grant, and like I said to you, this is the Pride of West London podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and also buy us a beer, beesotted.com/beer. Thank you to everybody who has bought us a beer. We should start giving you a few shouts, actually. We might have to do it in the 1,000th podcast, actually. So that makes the 1,000th podcast about sort of 4 hours long. But like I said to you, we're in the studio here, and we've got Ali Mullalley.
You read.
We got GP.
Yeah, I'm on you, Bees.
You got the Laney man.
Good evening.
And you got me, Billy the Bee, in the house. Don't forget to check us out. 1,000 Podcasts is coming down your way. Also, like I said to you, don't forget, thank you for writing and subscribing and all this other things you want to do. But anyway, we just didn't beat Forest, but we're going to Man United. We're going to be doing business. We're going to be doing come on, UB. 1,000 Podcasts coming up. Come on,
I tell you, the old 1,000th podcast, Bill. We ought to free for all down the pub. Just have an open invite.
That's right, everyone. That's
The
right.
entire world.
That's right. Just get down there.
Everyone loves a pub, don't they?
UBs.
UBs. Come on.